I'm Zach Sarkarati. I'm representing the Student Veterans America chapter at Bristol Community College and the Joseph A. Marshall Veterans Center. I'm interviewing Joe Martin today on Tuesday, November 19th at the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 7 Meeting Hall in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Also present is Steve Rees from Fall River Community Media, who's operating the camera, and Denny Cosmo, the director of the Joseph A. Marshall Center at Bristol Community College. The interviewing is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. So Joe, what can you tell me about how you first got involved in the military?
Well, I knew I was going to go into the Air Force once I graduated from high school. That was back in 1969. It was a different time than it is now. So.
What made you know? Did you have a family background, or is it just something you always felt?
No, my two uncles were in the Marine Corps, and that didn't sit well with them. They didn't want me to go into the Corps, as it were. So I decided to go into the Air Force.
Yeah. So what happened once you were in? How was basic for you?
Well, basic training was fun. It was an eye-opening experience, and it was very enjoyable, really.
Yeah.
Tech school after basic training. I went to school to become an aircraft mechanic.
Yeah. And so what happened from there?
From there, when I graduated, I was assigned to go to Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas. I was there a couple of months, and of course I'm an aircraft mechanic, but there were no planes there.
Yeah.
They were closing the base in Tennessee and moving it to Little Rock.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I worked in base personnel, putting up racks to put forms, and they finally decided to send us to Tennessee to help get the aircraft and all the equipment back to Little Rock.
Yeah.
I was stationed there for a little over a year.
Okay.
And then I got a reassignment to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Went there for 2 years. I was with the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, the Hurricane Hunters.
Yeah.
Spent 2 years on the island of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
1970 to 72, it was certainly a different time. And from there, I got orders to go back to Little Rock in July of 72. And I was there for another year and a half. In the meantime, I had re-enlisted. I loved what I did. And the Air Force took care of you. So I got orders to go to Thailand in May of 73. Around that same time, my dad was sick and found out he had cancer and didn't give him a year to live. So I wanted to reassign myself to a base that would be close to home, not in Thailand or Puerto Rico, but so I tried to reassign myself everywhere from Maine to Virginia out to Ohio.
And where are you guys from?
From Massachusetts.
Okay, what part?
Brockton.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they declined every base that I put in for, so I was wanted to get out. I was discharged honorably in September of 73.
Yeah. So you also had mentioned that you had spent some time in Germany?
Yeah, with the when we was Puerto Rico, the aircraft would go to Germany in November, December, and January, and they would seed the clouds.
Yeah, I saw that when you had showed me. I really want to know about that.
Yeah, well, what they did is had an ice chest full of dry ice. They had a chute that you would throw the ice down. It would go to a crusher, and then it spit it out the bottom of the airplane.
And that would be caught in the crowd?
That would take the clouds from being cloudy and make it snow. So you would be able to have access to you'd see the runway, and it would just clear. It's pretty amazing.
And why were you guys doing that?
To get aircraft in and out.
Okay.
They were fogged in, so.
Oh, so it like forced the snow out of the clouds.
Right.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And is that like a very common practice?
Yeah, we did that every year. I only went over once.
Yeah.
While I was in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And of course, that was a culture shock, going from 85-degree weather in Puerto Rico to minus whatever in Germany.
I can imagine.
It was cold.
Yeah. So what was Puerto Rico like?
Puerto Rico was not the paradise for me that most people think of. We were on the western end of the island,
Okay.
and if you wanted to go to San Juan, the big city, it's probably 50 miles away,
Yeah.
but it would take 2.5, 3 hours to get there because the roads were not that improved.
Yeah.
And you might run into a ox cart pulling sugar cane.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You told me there are times that there might be a drill and you get locked off the base.
Oh
right?
yeah. For whatever reason, the locals wanted, I don't know, make their mark. They would lock down the base. If you were on base, you couldn't get off. If you were off base, you couldn't get on.
Yeah.
And that would last maybe a day.
Yeah. Anything crazy ever happened with that?
No, I had a motorcycle
Yeah.
while I was there, and they stole it. They meaning the civilians off base.
Yeah.
I found it a couple of days later. Just ran out of gas.
Yeah.
So, no damage done. It was a different time. There were no supermarkets. You're on base. They had the commissary, and everything seemed to be frozen. No fresh fruit, no fresh meat. If you were allergic to penicillin, you couldn't drink the milk out there because the farmers, I guess they did their own veterinarian service. There's something to be said to be on the beach on Christmas Day under a palm tree, but
I can imagine, yeah.
when you're used to seeing snow every year, it's kind of a shock, but it's fun for the first year.
Yeah. Typical day like on the base.
Well, you would show up, they'd have roll call, make sure if you were supposed to be working, you needed to be there, and they would assign us out to the flight line, and either you were going to inspect an aircraft to fly, one that had flown, you were going to close it up and inspect it. You could be sweeping, you could be washing the windows, sweeping the cargo bay out, putting the rails in that would make pallets slide on and off, taking them out, putting them back in. It's pretty much, go from sun up to sundown. I worked more shifts than I care to think about.
Yeah, I can.
3 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. That doesn't make sense, but I had 3 days off. So, it was like living in a foreign country. If you didn't speak Spanish, you did a lot of smiling. And, you learn how to say, everything seemed to be, at that time, 25 cents for a quart of milk or a loaf of bread. So, 25. You learn that fast.
Yeah. Are there any things like interactions with people that really stick out to you from that?
Well, we lived. I was married. We lived off base in an apartment complex that had maybe 1,000 apartments.
Oh wow!
And to kind of put in today's dollar amount, I paid $28 a month for rent.
With the inflation.
And there was no hot running water. There was no refrigerator, no stove.
Okay.
It was a bare one-room apartment.
Oh, so I see why it's $28.
Yeah. When you're young and in love, you make it work.
Yeah. So how was she able to get down there?
She came down in October.
Yeah.
We got married in June of '70, and I finally got her down in October of '70. And my crew bunk for a bed is just a mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
And I think I ended up getting a skillet pan. That was our stove.
Yeah.
So, but yes, the apartments were jealousy windows, but
What's
they
that?
were made. You see the sliding little slats of glass.
Oh, okay.
You crank them out and they all open up like that.
Yeah.
They were made of metal. No screens.
Yeah.
Bugs flew everywhere, so you just got used to it.
Yeah. $28.
$20 a month. Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier for when those were those lockdowns. What were some of the things that might cause that? You mentioned locals, but
there were people that wanted to become a state.
Okay, yeah.
And they just start clashing.
Okay.
The ones that wanted, the ones that didn't. So riots would break out and they'd close the gates.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what they would do.
Yeah. And so, so going back to Little Rock, what was that like there?
I loved Little Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you wanted to hunt, fish, it was beautiful. I mean, the weather, it was no snow, but you get a little ice.
Mm-hmm.
And the views were beautiful. The state parks, it was beautiful. It really was a nice duty assignment.
Yeah.
I loved Little Rock. My leaving there to go to Puerto Rico for 2 years and then getting orders to go back was great because I knew the place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Were you with the same squad the whole time?
I ended up with the same squadron. That was in Little Rock. It was a 62nd Tactical Airlift Squadron, the Blue Barons. And what we basically did was train pilots to fly the C-130.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to fly much?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. Obviously to Germany, but a friend of mine had his private pilot's license, and when we were in Puerto Rico, and we used to rent. The plane was $5 an hour, so we would fly from Aguadilla, Ramey Air Force Base, to San Juan, and it would take maybe 25, 30 minutes.
No. It's better than the roads taking 2 hours.
Yep, absolutely. But we'd go there and go to the Navy's BX and buy record albums for $1.
Yeah.
So,
these numbers are like unbelievable to me.
yeah, well, yeah. I can't even remember how much. I think I made $3,000 or $6,000 for the first year.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
$30 a month for rent. In this grand scheme of thing, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. Were there many other trips you had like that, flying out or just going places?
No, basically we'd fly to San Juan and back. That was it.
Yeah.
You know, the Air Force, it would be flying from Arkansas, Tennessee to Arkansas, or Puerto Rico. It would be to go to Germany and come back. Yeah, that's about it. Really didn't do a lot of flying. Did a lot of fixing, inspecting, getting the aircraft ready to fly. Yeah.
So afterwards, once you got discharged, what was it like for you?
I almost thought about going back in, but I was going to lose a stripe.
Okay.
Because I was out. I think I was out over a year. I really loved what I did.
Yeah.
And it was, I guess, the feeling of someone telling you to cut your hair, it's too long, show up at this and do that. Civilian life was okay with me. I let my hair grow down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a struggle like everything else. I got out in '73. The oil embargo hit. Gas went from 29 cents a gallon to $1.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough.
Did you stay in contact with many people that you were with?
Couple people, yeah, that real good friend of mine lived in New Jersey, and it was probably 6 or 8 years before we finally hooked up together. And we used to go to his place every year. He'd come out to visit us every year, but you know, he got sick and he's gone. So.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, you know, it seems like all the good guys are gone.
So what else was the experience like for you then?
I can't, it's like you guys are going to college, you know, and I did a little college afterwards. And it's not like the bond that you have with the people that you're in the service with, that are working next to you, doing whatever job is necessary. There's a special bond that I spoke to a guy that I hadn't talked to in 50 years.
Yeah.
And I go to Florida in the wintertime, and he's down there. So this year I'll get a chance to hook up with him again and talk about old times.
Yeah.
See me, I haven't seen him in 50 years, and I call him, and it's as if it was yesterday that we spoke.
Yeah. How'd you guys meet?
In the service.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were both stationed in Puerto Rico. And, you know, after 2 years in Puerto Rico, you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
That's how life has changed. I loved what I did. The guys that I served with, each and every one of them would do for each whatever necessary. So
Yeah.
it's the way it was.
Yeah.
But I was crew chief, and there's something to be said when you're 20 years old. You seem like you're a young guy. I don't know how
21.
old. Okay, so picture yourself having your name painted over the crew door to get into the airplane, and that's your airplane.
Yeah.
That's your bird. You're responsible for it. Period.
Yeah.
You do whatever you need to do, whatever it has to be done. You get it done.
I see how you can get so into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to find things that could like relate to that connection outside of
No.
the service?
No. The only thing comes close is the DAV, the American Legion. These are veterans helping veterans.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, it gave me great personal pleasure. I used to drive for the VA in Providence, and I would pick up veterans, bring them to the VA. They'd have their appointments with their doctors, and I would take them home.
Yeah.
And some of the guys that I took were World War II vets.
Yeah.
And the first day I did take it, the first guy I took thanked me, telling me that if it wasn't for me taking him to the doctors, he would be dead.
Wow.
So it's like, oof,
Yeah.
damn, I feel good.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, if you weren't in, you don't get it. You know, you just, you don't get it. So.
Yeah. Did you have many of those experiences like that, working with people in those groups?
In the VA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, my brother is, he's the senior vice commander of this chapter 7. He gets things done.
Yeah.
You know, he spent his time. He's my younger brother,
Yeah.
2 years younger. He went in the Air Force after me, and then of course, I wasn't as smart as he was. He went to the University of Texas in Austin, got his commission in the Navy, and is a naval aviator.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of my brother, and he obtained the rank of captain in the Navy.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to him.
Deservedly. Anything else you'd want to say?
Yeah, life after the service. I would think probably a couple months after I was out, my dad, there was a problem with the car. So they took it to the dealer, had it fixed. I thought they overcharged him, and I blew up at the guy.
Yeah.
I guess that was my pent-up anger of, you know, getting out of the service and at such a bad time.
Yeah.
When, you know, the oil prices, there were no jobs. I don't know what the unemployment rate was, but there wasn't a lot going on out there. And then, you know, realizing that I can't do that kind of anger.
Yeah.
So I had a wife and one boy, and then a couple months later she was pregnant. So now I got a wife and 2 kids on the way, or 1 on the way. And I lived in an apartment complex, and just you know, inked out a living. You know, that's it was totally different. It wasn't until I lost my wife after 39 years of marriage,
Wow.
and I have since remarried to a woman that had the same issue. Her husband passed after 39 years of marriage. We think that our togetherness was brought together by the man upstairs.
Yeah.
And life is good now.
It's good. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I more appreciate my service to our country than I think I realized.
Yeah.
So
What made you realize that?
giving back
Okay.
is giving back. There's just certain things that just don't matter anymore. It's this guy needs a ride to the hospital because of whatever reason. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Personal. Really, I can't even express how gratifying it is to take someone and have them.
I can tell you mean it, though. Yeah, I can. Yeah. So can you tell me about the hurricane hunters?
Yeah, the hurricane hunters. So it's funny. I have had a 16 millimeter tape from WJAR,
What's that?
Rhode Island,
Okay.
TV station. One particular day, we're going to work, and all these guys are lined up, and there's someone standing there with microphones. And what we were supposed to do is tell them who you were, where you were from, and what you did.
Yeah.
And they were going to send that to your family's, so your family could see it on TV. They sent it to Channel 10. After, this was 1971 maybe, so you can do the math. I just had it done last year. I took that 16 millimeter film to a place to process it, and they put it on a thumb drive. And I meant to bring it to you to show you.
Yeah.
But they interviewed me, and there I am, 19 years old, and I'm looking at it. I just can't believe that that's me.
Yeah.
And my explanation as to what I did, these guys were saying, "Oh, we do a pre-flight and a BPO when the plane lands and blah, 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 blah." And I'm thinking, people aren't going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So what I said is, well, what I do is I do inspections for the aircraft before it flies. When it lands, we do another inspection and then, close it up, and we maintain the aircraft, blah, 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 and wash it for corrosion. So that was, I'm looking, it's like I was a scared 19-year-old in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen it since then.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is great.
Because my aunt had went to the station and asked for the film because my mom didn't see that had the 12 o'clock news.
Yeah.
I guess. So I had it, and that thing's traveled with me since 1971.
Yeah.
And it was just last year that I had it turned into a thumb drive.
That's great. Yeah.
So yeah. So the hurricane hunters, they would fly into the hurricane, and like the dropping of the ice crystals,
Yeah.
in the back of the plane on the floor, there was a tube that had two handles on it, and you had to push down, open it up, throw the ice in there, out it goes.
Yeah.
They would put these isotope-looking things, shoot them out, parachute would open up, and as it was falling to the ground, it would give the wind direction, the wind velocity, speed, and barometric pressure, and all of that. In the aircraft itself, they had panels with little TV screens,
Yeah.
and all kinds of dials and switches, and a big camera with a hood on it that would go over there and take a picture, and that would be in time what the hurricane would look like. Today's forecast, they'll give it to you like that.
Yeah.
Over the air. But all of this information was assembled, and then they would take it and give it to the National Hurricane Center,
Yeah.
and they'd be able to predict where it's going, how fast it is.
Okay. Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So yeah, that's how they do it before satellite.
Yep. So, and I remember talking to some of the civilian employees that were putting this equipment on board. Came out of Hanscom Air Force Base in Massachusetts. I'm not sure what Hanscom Air Force Base is. What Bedford, maybe Bedford, Massachusetts. So, but yeah, that was the hurricane hunters.
Yeah.
Flying through one of them is just a little.
Yeah.
it's a rocky road through there and then out. You know, you drive through the eye, it's nice and quiet, and then got to go through it again to get out.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of work with like the weather like that?
No.
Just those two things?
Just, you know, mainly I was an aircraft mechanic, so I didn't get into the avionics or the electronic equipment that was on board. That was the weather guys that did that.
Okay, yeah.
So my responsibility was that the plane would fly. You know, if something was broken and if there was something with the engine or instrument, they had instrument people, they had engine people, they had prop people.
Yeah.
Then they had us that would do everything else.
So what are some challenges you faced with those aircrafts going into combat or their conditions?
Well, really there was, you know, the plane flew, it came in, to make it simple, the plane flew, it did its mission, and it would come back down.
Yeah.
And you would have the aircraft maintenance log, and they would write down things that were broken or didn't work or whatever they found. And they would write that in the aircraft manual, and that manual stayed with that aircraft at all times. And everybody that needed to know what was going on would look at that aircraft manual. Okay, this is what I need to do. And then have someone inspect it and sign it off.
Yeah.
You know, short of blowing a tire, you know, that's pretty much it. I really didn't have any catastrophic issues that I had it done. And I take that as a testament to how we did our jobs. Yeah. You know, the plane didn't break. You know, just, you know. So I don't, you know, I didn't work on any of the gunships. I just worked on the aircraft that were the weather reconnaissance, and then training new pilots.
Yeah.
There was a standing order. On the back of the plane, on the belly of it, and then the ramp kind of goes up like this. Right at that bottom point, there was a skid plate. Okay. Okay, and probably like this, and it was just metal bars. Yeah. When the airplane took off, if they pulled back too far, it would hit that skid plate. Oh. Okay. If that happened, that was a case of beer for the crew chief. That was the long-standing. Yeah. I only got one. So that tells you how good the pilots that trained the new pilots were. Yeah. But
yeah. So what would you tell someone who's considering joining the armed forces?
Well, my granddaughter married a young man and asked me about what he thought of going into, he went into the Navy. And I wholeheartedly, that's the best thing you could do for your wife and your family that you're going to have, is go into the military. They're going to give you an education, and it's going to give you a skill that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. And you will meet people that you will never forget for the rest of your life. I wholeheartedly would advocate anyone that wants to go into the military to do it.
Yeah. Closing thoughts, anything else you want to add?
If given the opportunity, I would go back in a heartbeat. Whether I'm 73 years old or 18 again, I would wholeheartedly go right back in and do it. I loved what I did, and I would do it again. Yeah.
Does that mean you joined at 16?
No, I was 17.
Okay, yeah.
Right out of high school. Yeah. I graduated in June, went in August.
All right, yeah. Thank you for coming. I'm really glad you could have this interview and I could hear this. You could share your story.